All right.
That wouldn't be my biggest concern.
We'll leave the football talk there. You want to go talk a little basketball, Jeff?
Go for it.
All right. We are thrilled to welcome University of Pennsylvania men's basketball coach Steve Donahue to the show. Coach, how are you doing today, sir?
Jeff, I'm doing good, but I'm worried about Chase Young. I'll be honest with you. Okay.
You're worried about Chase Young too. See, Jeff is not concerned. So you're a local guy, so you've grown up in the area, Eagles fans, everything. So you can give us your take on what you think is going to happen.
I just worry that Jason Peters has been just hasn't played much, and now you're going against probably the most athletic, although young, defensive end in the league. So.
All right. Well, I got reinforcement from a men's basketball coach. Jeff, what are you bringing to the table?
Well, I also think that they're going to go with the 2 tight end set a lot, and I think that one of those tight ends is also going to stay in and chip block him. That's how I think they're going to handle it. Well, I could be wrong, but I'm hoping that's what they do.
Coach, we'll have you back on to talk Eagles football anytime you want. But we did want to make sure to have you on to talk about really important things you guys do every year, Coaches versus Cancer. Going to be a little different this year, but can you talk about your involvement and why it's so important for you to be a part of this effort to raise money to fight cancer?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. In particular, this year, Coaches versus Cancer does so much here in the Philadelphia area, and is started by Fran Dunphy and Phil Martelli 25 years ago, and we raised over $17 million. And it's just our way of coaches knowing the impact that we can have outside of just the basketball court. And when I was an assistant at Penn, I saw what Dump did. I couldn't wait to get back here and at least do my part and help grow this. And as you said, we have this event, which would typically have a huge gala. We're going to have it virtual. It's going to be on NBC 10 on Thursday, September 24th at 7 p.m. And we hope everybody watches. It's a nice special. And as I said, cancer doesn't stop right now during a pandemic. And we hope everyone else can find a way to help us beat this horrific disease.
Coach, the Coaches versus Cancer isn't just about raising money. One of the things that at least Philadelphians should be most proud of is that the coaches in this area, the college coaches in this area, give more than just money and their time for publicizing it. You all also donate your time a lot, including to places like Hope Lodge. Can you talk about Hope Lodge and the things that you're doing to give back to the community?
Yeah, for people who don't know, Hope Lodge is an incredible place. It's a free lodging for people out of town that are getting treatment at our great hospitals here in Philadelphia. But it's obviously the expense of staying overnight with everything else that's going on. And these are weeks and weeks of treatment. Hope Lodge provides this. So we do it with our team. We go out, and I know everybody in the city does this, but we go once a semester, provide meals for all the patients and their caretakers, and really spend time and sit down and listen to their stories, and just amazed at the courage that comes across with each of their stories of how they arrived at this lodge and the battles they have with cancer. And honestly, I do it for a couple of reasons. One, it's for our way of helping those going through this kind of strenuous and incredible, difficult time. But it's also my 15 or 16 young men that are got to realize that they're probably going to face this at some point in their life, and you can learn from how to handle it from these incredibly courageous people that are dealing with it. That's a Hope Lodge, and it's an unbelievable night every time we go. And if you don't know about Hope Lodge and you like to volunteer, it's an incredible way to give because it is impactful for people who really need it.
Coach, you talked about the 16 young men that you have under your tutelage as a coach. What has it been like to have players, of student athletes during times, not just during your entire coaching career, but especially now, and set an example for them to teach them about giving back to the community in many different ways, including what we're dealing with social justice as well?
Yeah, I think all of us, and not just coaches, but everybody over the last 6 months with what we all dealt with and the incredible issues that we have in this country with social injustice. I don't know if I can say I'm showing them the way, but I'm allowing them to raise their voices and with a platform of whatever we can at Penn basketball and provide support for them as they lead. And a lot of our players have with protest and social issues that go on any way they can. As I said, I would never say I'm the one that's leading this. I'm helping provide leadership in all different ways. But honestly, I've learned as much about what's going on and just the history of social injustice in our country. And then in turn, trying to be as supportive as I can of their movements.
Coach, can you talk about how, these are deep conversations that are being had right now, and you talk about what you learn. I imagine that it has the opportunity to bring teams closer together when they really learn about each other and coaches closer to the players, or you're getting to each other on a level that you don't get to in practice or in tape review or anything like that. Can you speak to the bond that's being formed right now between your players because of the circumstances that are going on around them?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think all of us as coaches, we like to think, and I believe this deeply. I didn't get into coaching to win games or anything of that matter. I think this brings great purpose to our profession and me as a coach that I can provide, and all of us can feel that we can have an impact outside of basketball. That's what brings you closer. That you can really see it in their voices, in their actions, that they're really hurting. And we can provide some support as they go each and every day, in particular our kids of color. So that's where the closeness comes, because we all feel that we actually have some purpose here, that we can make a difference with our platform as them as being basketball players, me as being a Division I basketball coach. And I think that's what I felt, that although this is a terrible part to deal with in our country, I feel much closer to our group, in particular because I haven't even seen them, but it's virtual, and I feel closer because of everything that's going on in our country.
So, Coach, you talked about that you haven't had a chance to see them. What was it like at the end of last season when they canceled the Ivy tournament? As a coach, what do you talk to your players about when something like that happens so quickly?
Yeah, I think as coaches, we like to think that we have answers, for things that happen, whether it's on the court, off the court, missteps, disappointments, tragedies. You usually can come up with a plan. There was really no plan. We were told a half hour before we're practicing for the Ivy League tournament that for 6 of the kids in that room, their careers were over. And I had no real idea why at that point. None of us knew what was about to happen. And that was difficult. I think the thing I tried to stress to them is we don't know what this is looking like right now, but make sure that you just take it all in and be willing to listen, because we just don't know what's going to happen in a day, in a week, in a month. Not that I knew what was going to happen, but I was really just trying to make sure that they didn't make some mistakes that they would look back on and regret after we find out, we're in the middle of a pandemic and this is just the beginning.
With everything that's going on, do you allow yourself to get excited for the season, though?
That's the motivation thing. I wake up every day and I tell our guys, it's a little ritual. We like to write down 3 things that we're grateful for. And one is that I'm hopeful for a season. That for these kids, this is their, for me, I've been coaching for 30 some years and I hope to coach a lot longer. For them, it's their 4-year window, everything they worked for in their whole life. I want them to have hope that they're going to have a season and compete and get to the NCAA tournament, and, chase their dreams. That's definitely part of the motivation and the inspiration each and every day they wake up right now.
So with that hope you have for them, how do you prepare for this potential season, given that you can't see them, given that you're on Zoom? I imagine you said you've been doing this 30 years. This is probably a season like any you've ever prepared for.
This is a season and a year that I don't think any of us on this planet ever could imagine. So it's just a microcosm of coaching. What I think we all have to do is we have to kind of move the horizons a little bit, start trying to achieve small steps and be happy with that, whether that's a goal that you set in the classroom, a goal in your physical fitness, just small things that allow you to be happy that you achieved them. And that's kind of my focus for our group, is that each and every day we got some small goals that we're going to achieve and we're going to get better. And we've been saying this, I probably stole this from somebody, but we want to win the weight. We want to be the team that comes out of this better, because we took advantage of this, not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to work on our mind, work on our mental toughness, do something that's going to provide us with something that will make us better when the season starts eventually.
When you win the weight, you get to go back and play your home games in one of the greatest venues in this country. What was it like for you the first time that you got to be the head coach at a home game at the Palestra?
Well, you got to understand too, I came to my first college basketball game in 6th grade in 1974 at the Palestra and fell in love with it. I think the thing that the Palestra does, it allows you as a fan, as a player, as a coach, to be intimately involved in the basketball that's being played. It's not like any other arena. It's not like, oh, I can watch a game. You're involved with the game. You have an impact. So for me, after being an assistant for 10 years, coaching as the opponent for 10 years at Cornell, and eventually being the head coach at Penn, it's really no way to put in words the feeling that I had. And I still get a rush. There's a different nervousness, a different excitement. I think about the other guys that have been on that sideline, and in our program, Fran Dunphy, Chuck Daly, Bob Weinhauer, Rolly Massimino, and all the great 5 coaches, Jack McKinney, Jimmy Lynam, everybody. It's just an overwhelming to think that we're all part of this incredible legacy of the Palestra. But I think we all know, who's ever been there, that it's hard to explain in words, but you understand it when you're part of that incredible basketball experience when you're there for a game.
Well, Coach, you're part of an amazing fraternity of coaches in this city, and we thank you for everything that you've been doing with regard to Coaches versus Cancer. Before we let you go, one more time, where can people go to learn more about Coaches for Cancer and what the upcoming events are?
Yeah, I think the one website is the Philly CV, coachesversuscancer.org. That's phillycvc.org. Get all the information. And honestly, we do need more participation than we ever had during this time, during a pandemic, because cancer is not stopping. And we're not going to stop either. We're working harder, but we love to have more participation. Philly has always stepped up for this, and this is not unlike any other time. We'd love to have everybody do their part, whatever that is, to help us beat this cancer.
Well, we thank you and the rest of the coaches for fighting this fight, and we hope you get to win the weight and get back on the court with your players and get to realize the success you all deserve. Thank you so much for the time, Coach, and best of luck.
Well, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and thanks for having me on. Have a great weekend.